Hello everybody, I'm Anthony, Moonwalkers Live in the Yellow Submarine, and this is a very different video than most of the videos that I make for you guys and girls, or for you subscribers out there. And this is actually going to be a review video of a film that I actually got a chance to see, and especially that this is actually my first time watching this film, so don't be angry at me, fans, because don't get me wrong, let's talk about Drake and Josh. Drake and Josh is, without a doubt, my #1 favorite Nickelodeon show I've ever seen, regardless of Dan Schneider's creation of his shows, especially from Kenan and Kel, the Amanda shows, all the good shows that Dan Schneider has created for all of us Nickelodeon fans out there. Now, Drake and Josh, we should all know Drake and Josh, right? It's iconic for Nickelodeon. Drake and Josh is a brothers, Drake and played by the actors Drake Bell and Josh Peck, and they're basically brothers that they go to high school, and Drake just gets all the girls by playing the guitar, and Josh is being treated by a pretty messed up script of, not in a bad way, but being treated like he doesn't have girls, he just doesn't know what, he knows what he's doing, but he has like enemies. He has one of his worst enemies in schools, which is Mindy Crenshaw. And yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know. And especially Drake's, just like what they addressed in the pilot episode, Drake's mother and Josh's father, they both decided to go out for each other. And in the first episode, they announced that they're going to get married, and they still have their sister Megan, played by Miranda Cosgrove, who, if you already know who she's from. We should all know this. She's from a pretty hit iCarly show, as the main star herself. So yeah, I'm just giving you a little rundown of Drake and Josh, I still watch Drake and Josh today because of how much I really love that show, and I definitely prefer that show over any of the shows that we see today on Nickelodeon, definitely. And yeah, so Drake and Josh Go Hollywood. So basically, Drake and Josh Go Hollywood. This is just gonna be like a rundown, so I'm not gonna show video clips of it, not because they're gonna block the video up just because I'm going to show footage, but it's basically, I summarize what the movie is about. So there's going to be spoilers if you have never seen this film. But if you've seen this film and you probably didn't care much, or if you didn't care much for the film, that's okay. This is just my opinion about what I think about the film. So there's going to be spoilers about the film. So I'll tell you what the movie's going to be about. So Drake and Josh, they're basically, after they go in high school, they're basically going to high school, and Drake's band manager decides to not play on a tour. They decide to perform on the Elder List, which I gotta say it's actually pretty good, funny, and it didn't go so well. From an elderly place, not just pig going the elders, but yeah, after the fail, they decide to. The parents they decided to go to a 10-day trip to, I don't forgot what the name was. They decided to go to a 10-day trip, and they decided to leave them behind. And for Megan, they want to drop her off in Denver. But later on, Drake and Josh got confused of sending her to LA. Oh no, what's going to happen? Well, this is what I'm going to tell you right now. So basically, Megan, she's basically spending time in LA, and not really too much going on. They're just basically going a little slow, a little bit. I guess because they wanted to show a little. I guess not because they're trying to. Maybe it could be either because they're building up the runtime for the movie. It could be, or it could be because of more plots. And yes, there's more plots to this movie, and. So the villain of the movie, there's actually a couple of villains. One villain was sitting next to Josh Peck, who has that's his first and last name, Josh Peck. But yeah, he was sitting next to Josh Peck, and he has the same MG as he does, and it's so identical that they accidentally switched it around. They didn't show that they switched around, but they switched around, and one guy was confused of the same identity of that electronic. I forgot what was it called. But yeah, and he also has another villain assistant too, which they're trying to get their power to get it back. And Drake and Josh later on found out that they switched around their see that's I always get confused with what they're trying to call it in some movies. I mean, don't get me wrong, their jokes are pretty funny. Like Geo, okay, sorry, Geo, okay. Now that's what it's called, Geo. The MP, which also is basically a different name of an MP3 player. And yeah, they find out they accidentally switched it out, and Josh decides to not let it go. Which I don't know, how come you would not let it go from a? I mean, I was like first when I was watching the film, I was thinking like, why would you not give them back if it's theirs? But Josh Peck actually he actually finds out what's really going on, and Josh Peck before that he looked at the news and there was something going on. There was like an investment of a crime, and later on Josh Peck has a theory about that. Later on they'd explain it, and they got it solved. While they're getting chased, and they did got caught later on, and they've been sent to their place pretty much a cliche stuff, but I mean not too cliche. So Megan Parker decides to actually surprisingly help out Drake and Josh. I know, right? Because Megan Parker, she's a cold sister. She's a cold-hearted sister, and she doesn't really care much for the brothers. But in this movie, she is actually pretty different in this one. She decides to help out Drake Parker and Josh Nichols because that's right, Josh Nichols. That's his last name. I kind of forgot. I always call him Josh Peck. And that's the actor's name, so forgive me. So Megan decided to help out Drake Parker and Josh Nichols to frame the crimes. I mean, not frame them, but decide to turn them down. And they did turn them down. But no, wait, there's more. You may think to yourself, oh, are they gonna finally take Megan to Denver, and they're gonna finally, have a happy ending? No, there's actually more. After Josh, in that one scene where Josh, like before that scene, Josh was in the bathroom and he heard what the guy was saying, that he wants to hire somebody that's a really popular musician and they want to hire a musician in the band to have a high promotion to their band. And Josh decided to help Drake out to sign him a record deal. And yes, after they solved the crime problems, and Drake and Josh decided to go to the concert and decided to perform on MTV. And it's kind of, this ending, and this part kind of reminds me of a Goofy movie, where like, Goofy and Max were going on a crazy adventure, and then later on, Max decides to go into a concert and a tour. It kind of reminds me of that. Don't get me wrong, I actually really like that movie. I really loved that, a Goofy movie. I mean, how can you not love that film? An extremely Goofy movie. I thought it was actually pretty good. It's not, in my opinion, it's not better. It's, in my opinion, not better than the first one. Well, I mean, because the sequel in Extremely Goofy movie is a direct to DVD sequels of Disney's. It's not the first time they do that. They've done that to other films, like The Lion King 2. They've done that to a couple of sequels in Disney films. And that's why you never heard so many Disney sequels, because they're basically a direct-to-DVD sequels. That's what they're called. It means that there are sequels that are not going to be released in theaters. They're going to release it in DVD instead. So there's not going to be a lot of people that are going to be not only interested in that movie topic, but there's not going to be a lot of people that are going to know this, especially from generations to come too. Not a lot of people will know this. Don't get me wrong, I love an Extremely Goofy movie. I thought it was a really good movie, but in my opinion, the first movie has a special place in my heart. The first one is one of my favorite films from Disney. And the Goofy movie was a big hit when it came out in the theaters, And yeah, the Extremely Goofy movie, in my opinion, was actually a pretty good film. It's not better than the first one, but it's still pretty good. Yeah, back to Drake and Josh Go Hollywood. So Drake Bell decides to perform for the MTV special, and that's pretty much it. And Drake and Josh, after Drake is finished, Drake and Josh were happy, and pretty much that's it. And the girls decided to ask them, or no, by the way, I forgot to mention, Megan had a lot of money to go to Denver herself, because, remember, I forgot to tell you a little earlier, but how they investigated crime, because Megan helped Drake and Josh to break them out of here, but Megan actually opened up the fan, and probably the worst villains you will ever see, because they stacked their money, because they're basically villains. Oh, we're gonna rule over the world for the money. But basically, they stack their money up in the table right behind them with the fan. Like, how do you not expect something like that will turn on automatically? I don't know. They're just pretty much the worst villains pretty much in the film. I mean, I don't hate them, but it's just so dumb that they would do such a thing. And the villains, in my opinion, the villains weren't as good as I thought they were. They're just basically cliche. I mean, not really cliche villains, but they're basically not really interesting villains that you would like, in my opinion. I mean, you probably still like the villains. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna dislike or hate you for liking the villains. For me, I didn't really like the villains. I guess because they're basically kind of reminds me of a Disney Channel villains a little bit, because they're not really too. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some Disney Channel villains I actually like, but for some other Disney Channel's villains, like this ones in Drake and Josh Go Hollywood, they're not really as funny or nothing like as an awesome. They're just basically, in my opinion, bland for the most part. Their jokes are not as funny as I thought they would, because they're basically villains. But yeah, make it decide after the chaos of the money going all over the place, because they used the GO to scan the money and put in and use the printer to stack a lot of money to work pretty much. And the money spreads all over the place, and Megan collect a lot of money, and then later on she got so much money that she decided to pay to go to Denver, and yeah, pretty much. And Drake and Josh saw the girls, and they asked him, "You want to hang out with us?" And Josh said, "We should." Like they said, "I think we should." And then next off, roll credits. I'm not even joking. That's exactly how the movie ends, on a cliffhanger. Like, what's wrong? What happened to Walter and Nancy Sullivan? What happened to both of them, the parents? What happened to them? And by the way, I'm not joking. This is actually what happened to the movie. So, yeah. And Drake and Josh's parents, they didn't have a scene of what they're doing so far in the movie, so far what I saw. Because I saw it online. They don't really show it on TV anymore because of how corrupt TV's programs are. But yeah, they never show Drake and Josh's parents of their progress so far, what they're doing in the 10-day cruise. They never show that. And at the end, they have a cliffhanger. Like, did they went back home? Did they find out Drake and Josh and Megan are gone for a long time? Like, what happened? I want some explanation, Dan Schneider. And Dan Schneider, he screenplayed and created a story. So I kind of want to blame Dan Schneider for this, especially because Dan Schneider created. Don't get me wrong, I love. Oh no. Actually, it's directed by Steve Hofer, actually. But yeah, I don't blame Dan Schneider too much for this, because I mean, Dan Schneider's career later on, like in the late 2000s and the early 2010s, where his career has been dropping down a little more, because when the years go by, it's been not doing so well for him. Especially hearing that Dan Schneider was actually left and kicked off from Nickelodeon of the allegations that were facing him to it. And I've actually heard he had a foot. I don't want to talk about it. It's weird. I don't even know what the heck is that. There's rumors about that, which is it actually true, people, guys and girls? But not only because I want to do a movie review, because I just want to do this as a dedication to Nickelodeon or something like that. It's dedication to Drake and Josh. But the reason why I did a movie review about Drake and Josh Go Hollywood is mostly because I love Drake and Josh, and I was hoping you subscribers out there must have loved Nickelodeon, loved Drake and Josh. So yes, I made this video dedication to not only the show but the fans of the show. So this is just my honest opinion. This is just my own opinion about the film. The ending, the credits, they roll credits. They roll the credits at the end where Drake and Josh is hanging out with the girls. I think they were riding on Tony Hawk's car still. I mean, don't get me wrong, they did address this after they put the crimes arrested. Because the Tony Hawk's manager, they actually understood what happened, and Tony Hawk was not mad. He knew, he understood why would they do such a thing, because Drake and Josh, they drive Tony Hawk's car because they were getting chased by the crimes. That was in the scene where they find out that they stole the GO from them. So yeah, the credits is what, because yes, I know you're gonna be like, did you stay the credits? Did you stay the credits all the way through? Yes, I actually stayed the credits all the way through, because I was thinking, like, are they gonna show a special ending, like what happened? But no, they didn't. The movie for me was a little too fat. It was a little fast paced, in my opinion, and they could have gone a little slower pace, and not too slow. Because the movie for me, because this is Dan Schneider's attempt, or Steve Hofer's attempt to make it more serious, and this is not the first time Dan Schneider has ever created something serious. Dan Schneider created the show Zoe 101, which is more of a serious, like more of a drama show. I don't have problems with serious or drama stuff, as long as they got some good jokes, good story, good characters, good execution, and good stuff, you know. As long as they got the things right for the show, and that's okay with it. Unlike what we see today on Nickelodeon shows, are basically the same crowd that we've seen a bunch of times, and they're not new. They're just basically doing everything of what we've seen in the past, and they're basically wanting to create different ideas of it, and it doesn't work. And especially that they're still making SpongeBob SquarePants to this very day, which I don't want to talk about that because I already made a video about that. And yeah, that's it. Drake and Josh Go Hollywood. The ending, they end on a cliffhanger, the biggest cliffhanger. I mean, for Megan, because I'm guessing the reason why Dan Schneider I'm guessing they want to end the movie so fast before we want to is because they want to make a sequel. I'm guessing. Don't get me wrong. They made another movie which was called Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh, which I should do a review on that film. And I don't think that it was a continuation of Drake and Josh Go Hollywood. So my honest opinion about the Drake and Josh Go Hollywood, for me, it's good, but it's not better than the show, in my opinion. I know it's their attempt at making a movie just because of how a hit the show was, but you can't always make a movie. You can't always make a movie based off of their popularity. Because don't get me wrong, some can work, some, for the most part, some don't really work out too well, as long as they have some good production. But this movie didn't really have too much production, not too much production in it. I mean, I tried to do a little more research on it, and there was not a lot of research, there was not a lot of production of what I heard about it. Because this is fun fact. This movie was made after the episode in season 3 called Sheep Thrills. After that episode, then they decided to make a movie. After the movie was released, then the episode after the movie was Megan's New Teacher, which arguably I gotta say, all the episodes from Drake and Josh, I loved them. I have no problems with Drake and Josh, the episodes. I have no problems. The jokes are always gonna give me a laugh no matter what I see, especially even though the joke can be repeated, but you gotta think about it. Drake and Josh, they did come out at the right time. They came out in the early because you gotta think about it. Drake and Josh came out in 2004, and they ended the series in 2007. And a year later, they decided to make Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh, just a wrap up of the show. I'm guessing. Fun fact: Really Big Shrimp episode was actually supposed to be the final episode of the show, but Nickelodeon decided to say, hey, let's make another episode for Drake and Josh called Dance Contest. That could say our goodbye message to Drake and Josh. Like Nickelodeon, why are you trying to make it confusing? Because the dance contest had nowhere to tell us the end. Really Big Shrimp didn't really have too much of a goodbye, too much. I mean, it didn't have a goodbye, because Really Big Shrimp, like at the end where they were fighting over a shrimp at the end, and they look back on it from the, I think it was actually from, I believe it was from the Amanda show, I could be wrong. Yeah, it was actually from the Amanda show, because at the end, a lot of, especially in the new generations, a lot of people probably don't know this, but I believe in the Really Big Shrimp episode, the ending was actually from the Amanda show, which I really love the show. The Amanda show, in my opinion, is one of my favorite shows from Nickelodeon history. And that came out in 1999. That was, in the 90s is where everything got awesome at the time. In the early 2000s, it still did really good. But in the late 2000s and the early 2010s is where everything is starting to fall apart a little, but not a whole lot. But then suddenly, iCarly and Victoria's, the show's already canceled. It's dead by now. Not the shows, but the Nickelodeon is dead pretty much. Same here happened to Cartoon Network too. They're basically dead, and there's no reviving from that. And because I know a lot of people, especially in this generation, they don't really know a lot about the old 90s shows and Nickelodeon shows that we grew up with. Because trust me, I wasn't in the '90s, but I was born in the early 2000s, but at least I was experiencing, especially my parents showed me some shows like Drake and Josh, because I actually remember when Drake and Josh came out. This was actually one of the first shows this is actually the only show I've actually cared all the seasons. Because season 1 was a really good season. And I was so happy to see their new seasons. And I watched their later seasons, especially their last season. It never failed to impress me. Like, I sit there, I loved the show. Like, there's no bad episodes or no bad seasons, to tell you the truth. They're perfect. In my opinion, Drake and Josh is actually the better Nickelodeon shows that we've ever gotten in the 2000s era. Because think about it, after Drake and Josh, there was iCarly, it's actually a pretty good show. Don't get me wrong. The show is good. There was actually, I got some little problems with it. Like their later seasons, I don't watch them that much, but especially because I was growing up and I wasn't really liking their newer seasons a little more when they were going on. I don't hate them, but I wasn't interested in their newer seasons after that. I believe season 5 or 6, I didn't watch a single episode from that. I mean, there was a couple, like 3 or 2 episodes I saw from it, but overall, I didn't care much for their later seasons. I watched their older seasons, and I thought they were actually pretty good. And yes, this is yes, I know you'd be like, why? What does this have to do with Drake and Josh? They go Hollywood. Oh, please, like, unlike this generation doesn't know nothing about Nickelodeon these days. Come on. You gotta at least talk about the good old Nickelodeon. Come on, Nickelodeon's used to be good, you know. But Victorious was actually made, like the show Victorious was in 2010, and I've always heard a lot of rumors about Victorious that the reason why it was canceled because there was a fight of Ariana Grande and Victoria Justice. I'm guessing. I don't know fully about the story about Victorious. Victorious is okay, but I only saw like 1 episode from their later seasons, and I didn't care nothing about their newer seasons. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate Victorious, I don't hate iCarly, I actually really like them. But they're nowhere near, they are never going to top Drake and Josh. In my opinion, they're never going to top Drake and Josh. But for 90s shows like Kenan and Kel, all that, and The Amanda Show, they're going to be up there with Drake and Josh, in my opinion. For Dan Schneider's shows, for the most part. But for animated films in Nickelodeon, they're always going to be in my favorite. They're always going to have a special place in my heart of Nickelodeon's 90s shows and their early 2000s shows. So, yeah. Drake and Josh Go Hollywood, overall, the movie is okay. There is some funny humor, and the jokes that they said what actually got me a laugh out of it, even though this is more of a serious film. I actually got a laugh out of the film when I first saw this. I actually got a laugh out of it when there was some of the jokes were actually funny, and I think actually, in my opinion of the film, is Megan helping Drake and Josh. That was the most nicest thing that Megan did. Even though if it's a little off, don't get me wrong, it was a little off character. I don't really care much if it was out of character, because, I mean, Megan knows that, because there was evidence to it, because one of the crimes, they left the wallet in the room, and Megan saw it, and they saw, like, she looked at the evidence, and she decided to find out what really happened to them, and decide to save them, and that was really nice of Megan, because, I mean, I don't even know what would happen if Megan didn't do all that stuff. So overall, Megan saving Drake Josh is probably my favorite part, because it was really nice of her, because she never did that in the show. Although in Megan's first kiss episode, she did tell him at the end of the episode that she loves them, which was probably the most nicest thing she ever said to them, actually, because a lot of times she always calls them, "Hey boobs." I gotta say, it's actually a pretty funny insult, even though the jokes are pretty dated. I don't care if the jokes are dated. It's Drake and Josh. I mean, Drake and Josh, they basically want to have fun with it, pretty much. And that's why I love Drake and Josh. They're basically, not only they're just having fun with it, especially Dan Schneider did a really good job of screenplaying and write the show. And, yeah. Drake and Josh Go Hollywood, it's not my favorite Nickelodeon films. In my opinion, it's not my favorite Nickelodeon films. My number one favorite Nickelodeon film so far I've seen, my number one favorite Nickelodeon film so far, it's the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, the 2004 version, and I really loved that movie. It had heart, it had awesome kick butt music in it. It had, I said it before. It had heart, it had awesome music. It even had a lot of funny jokes that are still good to this day still. It's still good. And man, the movie, I actually remember seeing SpongeBob the movie. I remember I was here at the time when the film came out, and I wasn't born. I wasn't here when season one when it first came out, but I was here when their later season. I was here when season 2 and 3, especially the movie came out. I remember when I first saw that, it was so good. Like the movie was so good. The music is what got me of nostalgic, and the SpongeBob SquarePants. Don't get me wrong, SpongeBob SquarePants is a really good show. Season 1 through 3 is awesome. Season 4 is okay. It was good, not better than the previous one. Season 5 is where they were losing the good. They were losing so many of the. I can't say edgy, but they were losing so many funny and ideas, and they're drawing away from fans, especially for die-hard SpongeBob SquarePants fans out there. And season 5 is what the goriness and the imagery starts to go a little too far. It's okay to show one episode once in a while. I mean, because for the most part in the season 5 is where it got a little graphic a little more. But season 6 is what destroyed the whole series, and that's why I stopped watching it. But yeah, Drake Josh Go Hollywood is not my favorite film I've ever seen from Drake Josh, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, if you Drake Josh fans out there like Drake Josh Go Hollywood, go ahead and like the film. I'm not saying you have to, but everybody has different opinion on what they think about Drake Josh Go Hollywood. By the way, Drake Josh Go Hollywood film is a 2006 film. It's actually a TV film released January 6, 2006. It was released DVD and VHS in 2006. Fun fact, the film was the highest rated program on cable for the week with 5.4 million viewers. That is insane. But yeah, I mean, it's Drake and Josh. I mean, Drake and Josh had grabbed our attention at how good the show was. I wasn't actually too surprised, but I was pretty surprised a little bit. But then I was realizing too that Drake and Josh is they did have a lot of popularity from their earlier seasons, season 1, 2, and 3. And this is the movie that was actually making for a continuation of that third season. So Drake and Josh Go Hollywood is not my favorite Drake and Josh film. I much rather, in my opinion, would watch Merry Christmas Drake and Josh over Drake and Josh Go Hollywood. Now hear me out on this one. Merry Christmas Drake and Josh did have a little problems, but at least it had more explanation about the parents, in my opinion. At least it focused a little more on the parents and not focus a lot about Drake and Josh and Megan, pretty much, of the movie. And at least, because that's another thing, too, about the Drake and Josh Go Hollywood. They never show what the parents of Drake and Josh's parents, they're not showing what they're doing so far, and they didn't went home and they didn't find out they're still gone. They didn't show none of that stuff. They just want to get the movie over with. They just want to I feel like the movie was a little too fast-paced for me a little bit. I mean, not as fast-paced, like I don't know a lot about what is going on, but I know a lot of details in general in the film. And there were some jokes in the film, in my opinion, that work, and there's other jokes that didn't work as well. Believe me or not, it's not just because of the villains. It's, the villains weren't as good, or the jokes they make wasn't funny. They're jokes like Drake and Josh. Some of their jokes aren't as funny as the show, or even Megan's, but it's not terrible. It's good, but it's not as good as the show. And yeah, Merry Christmas Drake and Josh, at least it had more focus on the parents, in my opinion. Because at least it shows up what they're doing so far in the vacation. And at the end, they showed up back in their house. And yeah, that's why I would choose Merry Christmas Drake and Josh over Drake and Josh Go Hollywood. Merry Christmas Drake and Josh had more details in the movie. But in Drake and Josh Go Hollywood, there was not a lot of details of the other characters, like the parents. The parents, I love how the Drake and Josh parents always leaves throughout the whole entire film. I love how they just do that. They're just like, Dan Schneider's like, alright, just get the Drake and Josh's parents out of the movie throughout the whole film. And somehow this film is going to be okay when it comes out. So yeah, Drake and Josh Go Hollywood, not my favorite film, but trust me when I say this, I'd much rather watch that film over the Last Airbender film. Because that film is so bad, and it's based off of the show. It's basically a live-action film based off of the movie. Like, it's a live-action film based off of the show, and it's terrible. Just, no. It's no. And if you're going to be asking me, is this better than most of the Nickelodeon movies that they made? Kind of. But in my opinion, I would choose this movie over Out of Water, SpongeBob Out of the Water. I could skip that movie. I mean, for Nacho Libre, it's good, but it's nowhere near as my favorite list on my favorite Nickelodeon films. Nacho Libre, it's good. It might be up there one of my favorites, probably the lowest of my favorites, but it's still pretty good. It did have some funny stuff in it. It did have a pretty good story and a good characters too. But yeah, Nacho Libre is a pretty good film for me. I thought the film was pretty good. It's not my favorite from Nickelodeon, but it's still pretty good. Number one favorite film from me, from films from Nickelodeon, has got to be SpongeBob SquarePants movie. You can't top the film, in my opinion, because the movie holds a special place in my heart because of how much I love the film. It still holds up today. It still holds up today, especially Nickelodeon these days, especially in this year. Because for the generations that goes on, a lot of people may not know a lot of old shows that we grew up with. But their parents that they experienced that they go, at least their parents that they grew up with certain Nickelodeon, I mean not certain, but like all the Nickelodeon shows that they saw over the years, like especially in the 90s, early 2000s, and like I hope they can pass it on to their kids so they can pass it on to their future kids too. I hope they can, that's just my opinion, because not a lot of people don't watch Nickelodeon, the good old shows that we grew up with, and we need to change that. Similar to, sorry, that was my mom. And yeah, sorry, my mom. My mom wants to tell me about stuff, but yeah, this is just personal. But yeah, overall, Drake and Josh Go Hollywood, and Drake and Josh Go Hollywood. It's a good movie, not my favorite film out of the movies. I don't hate it. It's got some funny moments. It's actually got some good heart in it too, because Megan's really has a heart in the movie, and I like that. But overall, I don't think this. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's gonna be some Drake and Josh fans that are gonna enjoy this film. And there's some that are gonna be okay with it, but they're not gonna hate it. Like if you love this film, that's okay if you love this film. Don't hate me because of what I'm saying, don't hate me because I don't hate the film. It's not a terrible film. There's actually funny moments. There is questionable. I have questions about the film overall, but it's good. But I would not look back on this film too much. I mean, if especially a lot of Nickelodeon shows going on in nowadays, I'd much rather watch Drake and Josh Go Hollywood far more than the shows that you see on the television from Nickelodeon these days. So if you guys enjoy my first ever review, Drake and Josh Go Hollywood, like, comment, subscribe, share this video with your friends and family. If not only you are Drake and Josh fans, but if you are an old school Nickelodeon fan, and yeah, and I have not really much to say. Let me know what in the comments down below. Did you like the film? Did you loved it, or did you like the film? Like it means like you have some problems, but you still kind of enjoyed it, or did you hated the film when it first came out? I mean, you may not hate the film when it came out, but me, I don't hate it. I like it because there was some funny moments. For me, the movie throughout the whole film was a little bland. Not because of removing the laugh tracks. I can get over the. I can watch Zoe 101. I can watch serious movies, especially from Nickelodeon. Like, Zoe 101 was more serious, but I can still watch it too. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. I wasn't bland because they removed the laugh tracks in the film. I actually like the film. I like it, but I don't love it or hate it. I don't hated it. Just to keep that in mind. So, I will see you in the next video. Change the world. Peace and love.